Okay, I think we've started. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sam. Kristine, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Kristine. Have we started?
Yeah, we've started, mate. We're alive. This is how these things work, mate. It's everything you say. We're right out there now.
Awesome. Hello, I'm Kristine, Sam's sister.
Um, so we're very excited to have everyone here with us tonight. We're excited about our book. It launched yesterday, which is quite a surreal feeling, actually. Like, this whole process has been going on, writing the book, for almost about 2 years. So to finally have the book in our hands and in the bookstores and available online, it's pretty amazing. So yeah, we just thought we would have a bit of fun tonight, do some Q&As, talk about the book, give some tips and guidance for those who might be struggling. And yeah, and if anyone has any questions at any time, feel free to just write them in the comment section and we'll get to them at the end. But yeah, so I just thought it would be fun to start to talk about why we wrote the book.
Go for it.
Yeah, because I think this is, I'm not sure about you, girl, but a lot of questions that I've been asked is, how did it all begin? You know, how did you go from, you know, having the idea, or we have a Believe mental health space, to writing a book? And so we created Believe, our website, probably, like, it was actually, we had the idea of creating a mental health platform in 2015. I think it was like in between when I did Bachelor and Bachelorette. Do you remember?
A long time. Yeah, yes, it has been a long time in the making, hasn't it?
Yeah, and we just had an idea, and then we weren't ready yet. We were just sort of, you know, trying to figure out what exactly we wanted to do, because over the years that I've been in the public eye, a lot of people have reached out to me. I've been quite open about my struggles with mental health, and yeah, over the years people have reached out, shared their own stories, their own personal battles, and I just thought, you know, well, we thought it would be a great idea to create a safe community where people can share their stories and know that they're not alone. We've got advice from psychologists. Sometimes resources aren't available for people as well, or they might not be in a financial situation where they can see a psychologist. So we just thought we'd put it all in the one spot and create a space. And then from there, it's turned into, well, Chris, you're a youth mentor and you do youth workshops, and now we've written a book.
Yes. Oh, it's huge. I actually had a moment yesterday where I just stopped and reflected about, like, where we've come from, and what we have since created. You know, we're just two regular people, I feel.
And
And
a couple of bogans from Lilydale, mate.
Yeah, people often say that. Yeah, there's a little inner bogan inside of me.
Mine's more outwards. Mine's just like, yeah, well, you know.
Mine's inner. But yeah, we have come such a long way, and the reason why we did create Believe, initially the website, was to basically just shine a light on mental health, and really to let people know that they weren't alone. Obviously, with Sam's public battles with her mental health struggles, as she mentioned, so many people reached out to her. And so, yeah, like Sam said, we wanted to create just the one space where people can share their stories, they can read Sam's stories, and, you know, we just really wanted to create a sisterhood. Initially it was a sisterhood, but it's become,
yeah, that's right.
It's become more than a sisterhood. It's for everybody, basically. Anyone can go to the website, and it's awesome now that we've created the book. You've delved a little bit deeper into your story. So I think a lot of people will really get so much out of it.
Yeah. Well, I think, like, one of the most important things is, while we are expanding the conversation about mental health, like, it is going in a good direction. Like, I feel like more people are open to it. There's a lot more conversation surrounding it, but we still have a long way to go. But particularly, I think, for our teens, you know, we had struggles, like Chris, you struggled with, body image issues and self-esteem, and as did I, and all these things that we were dealing with as well, like particularly like, well, for myself, like struggling with depression when you're a teenager, and I'm 33 on Monday, and so, but the conversation about mental health wasn't happening in our teenage years. Like, I just felt like I was messed up in the head. I thought something was wrong with me. I honestly thought something was wrong with my brain, because I didn't seem to be like everybody else. And, I would be so sad, and I carried so much pain, and I was so angry, and I didn't feel normal. And that's why it is so important. This is why we are so passionate about the work that we do in this space, is because, there's a lot of teenagers that feel the same way. And we're like, it's normal to feel like that. Like, it's okay. And, there's light, and there are ways to get through it. There's ways to manage it. And I think going into that, like leading into, maybe we can talk about tips or advice, because we've got in the book, in every chapter, Chris, she's got her glasses on, she's ready to roll. She's like, oh, miss, this is my expertise.
So I'll just quickly explain my role in the book, just so people know. So basically, in the book, Sam shares her stories, and at the end of what Sam was just saying, at the end of each chapter, most chapters, I just provide some tips for those who may be struggling in that particular area. But one thing I do just want to point out is, I don't claim, and Sam also too, we don't claim to have all the answers, but these tips are basically what we've learned along the way, which have helped us, which may have helped others. So what I'm really hoping that people get out of this book from those tips that I've put in them is they can just create their own little toolbox, because what may work for you or what may work for Sam may not work for others. So there's lots of little tips and strategies to help you through. So please just grab little bits that might work for you and just create a little toolbox. That's what we always tell our teams, just to create a little toolbox that may work for you. So what did you want? Did you want me to talk about? You can start off some tips that can help those who may be struggling.
Yeah, well, I think, because we've got so many different chapters in the book, and you offer so much brilliant advice. I think social media is a big one. Do you have
Yeah, look, I just want to show everybody what I've done. So here's the book. Look at all this. Okay, I've just got to make sure I'm prepared. Okay, so let's go to social media. Let's go to that. Really big.
I love you so much, and I mean, it's just we're very different, and it's brilliant, because Chris always goes, you always talk me up, but she's so organized, and nothing I do would be possible without her and her organizational skills, because I just am like, I don't even know where my book is, literally like 2 minutes before we went live, I was like, does anyone have a piece of paper and a pen? I should probably write some things down.
Well, the thing is about Sam and I, which for those who are watching, we are chalk and cheese. We are so very different, but we also, like, you bring out the fun side of me, and you bring out the best in me. You make me have a really great fun time, because otherwise I can be like, okay, everybody, this is
and none of my bills would be paid if I didn't have you. So,
it's important to have nice, organized people, but it's also really important to have fun people in your life too, because otherwise you'll be like this all day long. Anyway, going back to, we've got a question that's come through actually.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do this. So a question has come through that says, what's the best way to deal with anxiety, especially when it comes to social media? Sam, great tips actually. Go for it, Sam. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Oh, do you really? Switch
Yeah.
off your damn phone. Social media can be honestly a real challenge, and I think particularly, like, I mean, I'm in my 30s and I struggle with it, and I like to think I'm pretty on top of like being self-aware of how I'm feeling, but I still sometimes fall into the comparison trap. I get a bit of anxiety, and I think one of the most important things you need to remember is, like, the second you step away from your phone, like, there's a whole world out there, and nothing is actually real that's inside your phone. None of the comments are real. Like, yeah, like, it's just in your phone. And so once you like switch it off and look around, you're like, oh wow, this is amazing. It is and that. But what I would say about social media is you can limit your comments. I do that all the time. My comments are very limited. As in, it's only people that have been following me for a period of time can comment on my stuff, and I use comment moderators and things like that to remove any trolls or harassment or bullying, because your social media is your safe space, and it's not an invitation for anyone to just say and do whatever they please. Like, you know, this is an environment where you should be able to log on and feel inspired, feel connected, and all the good things about social media. Have a laugh. Unfollow accounts that make you feel anxious. If you feel like you're comparing yourself to other people, unfollow. Or if they're friends of yours and you don't want to cause drama, just mute their account so you can't see them. Don't be afraid to block and delete. If anyone's harassing you, just block and delete. That's as simple as that. And I think, you know, not feeling guilty about creating healthy boundaries around social media, because, as I said, it is your space and it's your phone. And nowadays we're accessible 24/7. So it's really important to manage that and to keep yourself in check. Like, how are you feeling in your body? Are you feeling overwhelmed by social media? And if so, delete the app. I always delete the app. Yeah, sometimes if it's just a bit too much, I'll just delete it and move on with my life. And you're like, oh, I can breathe again. This is amazing. In an ideal world, I'd delete the whole thing, but it doesn't work like that.
Definitely got its positives, you know, with, you know, for business, you know, getting into your community, like family, friends, inspiration, education. There's lots of really great benefits about social media. But one thing that, you know, we talk about when we do our workshops with our teens is, if you're scrolling through, it should never make you feel unworthy as a person. Or we often find, you know, so many teens and, you know, so many people, they compare themselves to others. And one thing that I always share with teens, I read this quote once, and I don't know where it's come from, but I love sharing it because it's so true. So, oh, now I've forgotten the quote. Oh my God. I was very sorry. And
nah, I guess you should have put a bloody note on it. You should have highlighted it. I'm sure you've got to highlight it somewhere.
Yeah, okay. But it's in my head. Okay. So hang on. I just want to make sure I get it right.
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm going to come back. Let me come back.
No, it's good, girl. No, that's great. We've got another question anyway.
No, okay. Oh, hang on. No, it's coming. Sorry, Sam's finding this really entertaining. It's about Monopoly, actually. And I'm a little bit under pressure now, and I can't think of it. Social media. No, I got it. Being sorry, guys. It's not very onto it. So being famous on social media is like being rich in Monopoly. It's not real life. And I remember it, I read this quote and I was like, oh, it's so true. Like once you, like, it's this another world that, when we were teens, it never existed, but we can get so sucked in. It's like a vortex, and we can get scrolling for ages, and it's not good for us, to be spending in front of our screen. So, and yeah, one of the tips actually, and I always ask teens, not just what you're looking at when you're scrolling, but also on the flip side, when you go to post. And some questions that I've put in the book is actually like, on the flip side, please know that once you post online, obviously it's online forever, but I'm like, here are some questions that you may like to ask yourself before you post. And it says, why am I posting this? Is it for likes? Is it to get attention? Is it for validation, for approval, to fit in? And then I've just asked, does it align with your true self? Is it just to family and friends, like a really great day that you've had? But it's just to check in with yourself. Just to go, why actually am I posting this? Is it because I really want validation? Is it because I want to be liked, to fit in? Is it for the other girls to, be friends with me? Like, it's really just about just connecting to your true self and going, actually, does this align with who I am? Am I posting because I want this particular person to like me? Then I feel like, no, that's not a good reason to be posting. So just to be more mindful when using it, like what you're looking at and what you're posting. Sorry, guys, I just totally...
That's amazing. That's really good. That's a really good question to ask. And I even myself, like, sometimes I'm like, if I'm feeling low, then I'll post like and you just go, oh, Sam, like, even sometimes I catch myself doing the things that I'm teaching. And so it's a really good reminder to just get back to who you are at your core and be like, anyway, I think it's fantastic. I think we have another question there, Jill.
Sorry, okay. Has your mental health been challenged by being open about it? Oh, that's a good question.
That's a great question. I don't think so. I think if anything, it's certainly helped. Because sometimes, like, if I'm having a bad day or bad week or whatever, there's always someone in my inbox that's saying, thank you for sharing your story, or you've helped me in ways that I don't think you would ever understand. And the light that comes from that it outweighs anything. And so even when I'm having a bad mental health day or in a bit of a funk, I remember I was even talking about it last night. I was like saying how sometimes I would feel the pain and the sadness, and I would think, oh, one day this is going to be a lesson for somebody else. So that's how and maybe that's just a coping mechanism, and maybe that's what helps me get through it. But no, I definitely feel like it's been hugely beneficial for my own mental health to share and be open. But I think that's in life in general. When you're hanging on to it to yourself and not telling anyone, you build it up to be so much bigger in your head. And then you realize that, there's a lot of people that feel the same way.
And I just want to add to that, and I'm sure a lot of people who are watching tonight agree with me, is because you have always continued to be your true self. You've been vulnerable. You've been so open about your experiences. I think it's quite refreshing, and people connect with you more because they're sorry, can you hear that? They're singing. But so many people connect with you, and really what you sharing your story is so important. And I think I've lost my train of thought, but I think you being vulnerable, you being real, so many people connect with that, and they're like, oh, actually, we're not alone. And although they might see you on social media or on, TV, you sharing your struggles, I think it's really refreshing, I find anyway, for you to be real and raw and share those experiences, because although you're going through it and going through a really tough time, you're also helping so many people out there.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks, Gail.
Yeah. Well, it's true. Sorry, my family's singing happy birthday out there. I apologize.
That's all right. It's nice. It's nice to hear the cheers. I like it.
But there is another question here is, what is some advice you would give your younger self about your mental health?
Oh yeah, that's a good one. What advice would I give my younger self? Well, in the book, I start in the intro talking about that it's a blessing to face hardship. And I think that's something that I probably needed to hear when I was younger, because at the time you just think, when you're younger, you just think that everything's so permanent. Like you're never going to be able to get through the other side, or yeah, and like even how you're feeling about your body and about what your appearance, and like everything changes. And I think that it is a blessing, because we wouldn't be the people we are had we not faced the challenges we've had, and we wouldn't be grateful for the small things, and we wouldn't have the empathy. I think that one of my favorite, I know one of the favorite things about myself is I love my empathy, and I have an easy ability, a great ability to easily connect to humans and animals. And I think that comes from facing struggles with my mental health and having to understand human beings, because I ultimately believe we're all exactly the same. We're all exactly the same, no matter what your upbringing was, no matter what job you have, no matter where you are in the world, we're all the same. And yeah, and I think that it is an absolute blessing to go through what you go through.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, what advice would you give?
Oh, my younger self.
Yeah.
More of you. I would give my younger self, well, from what I've learned with working with teenagers, it's normal for teenagers to feel emotions to the fullest, like their emotions are heightened. Mm-hmm. And I wish I knew that as a teenager, because when I did experience, like a falling out with a friend or a breakup with the boyfriend, or it actually felt like the end of the world. It actually felt like the end of the world. Like I felt like I couldn't go on. And I remember having really dark feelings and emotions when I was a teenager. And I would just wish I knew that these are normal emotions. It is normal for teenagers to feel emotions to the fullest, and that you will get through. I think that that's probably what I would tell myself.
Yeah. And you change as well. Sorry, I'm just going to quickly turn on this light. It's getting a bit dark in this room. And you change so much as well. So I used to be angry. Like I was an angry teen girl. I would smash things and scream and I was a psycho, wasn't I?
Yeah, it's fair to say. Not a psycho. I just feel like you didn't have the tools to help you with that anger. You didn't know those tools. And programs that we run didn't exist when you were a teen. So you had no idea what to do with that emotion. So you would, smash things.
Smash things. What a psycho.
Yeah, but that
I know.
That's what you knew. And that's also too, like if there's teens out there that are angry, like that's okay. They just don't know the tools yet to help them through that. Yeah. So it's fine. It's how we learn, it's how we grow, it's how we evolve. You got to go through that.
That's right. That's right. But now it's quite funny. Like now I think about it and I'm just like, I can't believe, because now I don't think I'm an angry person at all. Like I'm a very mellow, chilled out person. I think so anyway. Yeah, Chris.
Slightly a little temper, just slightly. And that's okay. Actually, can I just say also, when we were talking about what we're going to do with this, this live stream tonight, we were actually talking about, you mentioned about doing a pillow screaming.
I did.
Yeah, we don't have to do it, but Sam, that was like, is that what you do now to help with your anger? I'm just curious.
Sometimes, well, because we were talking about I was with the team at Booktopia. They're so beautiful and fun, and they were like, "What ideas do you girls have for this live Facebook page, and I go, they're like, what do you do when you're feeling overwhelmed, and you know, when you or you're when you're trying to get your emotions out? And I go, scream into a pillow and cry. And they're like, that's great, we should do a pillow screaming session. And I was like, I mean, I was joking, I wasn't joking, I do actually do that, but I was like, I don't know if that's gonna be very marketable. Everyone just grab your pillows and at the same time scream. But you know, if you want to, go for it.
Like that too, you know, it might help others too to scream into their pillows.
Yeah, sometimes I feel so overwhelmed, then yeah, I'll I just scream into a pillow, and then you're like, oh, and then you get so tired, and then you're like a baby, and you're like, all right, well, I've screamed, I'm gonna go to bed now. You know, my babies sleep so well because they spend the whole time screaming, and they're like, I'm tired.
Well, my 4-year-old, you know, Olive, she's a pillow screamer, like, which I think, you know, it's healthy. She's just getting out her anger. You know, it's better to be out than holding it in, you know?
Yes, absolutely, because it manifests in different ways.
Exactly. There's another question here that's come through is, what is the best way to deal with depression and anxiety if you're a mother trying to juggle kids and your own mental health? Oh,
take it away, Chris.
Well, I too am a mother. I've got 2 little girls, Bridie and Olive. Bridie is 8 and Olive is 4. And I do suffer from anxiety. And the one thing that I recommend for all people, and I preach it all the time with our workshops, whoever I speak to, and it's basically self-care. And what it is putting yourself at the top of your to-do list every single day, and the rest will fall into place. So as a mother, I always find time in my day, no matter what, you know, no matter what my day is looking like, I always find time for myself, whether it's 10 minutes, whether it's half an hour, whether it's an hour. An hour is fantastic if I get that. But it's just setting aside some time for yourself, because what that is doing is it's filling up your tank, filling up your love tank, you know, and so then therefore you can give your children the overflow. Go on, Sam, you're going to say something.
I was just going to ask, what are the things that you do for yourself during if you have that spare time?
Yeah, so one big thing for me is exercise. So I need to move my body. And another thing is I always try and sit in stillness. Whether that's just or I try and listen to like a guided meditation for 10 minutes. I tell you what I do. After school pickup, at 3 o'clock, 3:30, I put the kids in front of the TV. I'm not going to lie. I put them in front of the TV. I get a yoga mat. I put my headphones on and I lay on the floor and listen to a guided meditation for 15 minutes. The kids know that I'm doing meditation. They leave me alone. They're watching TV. And I basically the afternoon.
That's great.
And I don't feel guilty for it, because I know that when I come out of that meditation, I'm more centered, I'm more grounded, and I can give my children the love that they need. And also I'm looking after my anxiety and my mental health. So I definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great, girl. I really love that.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, and I actually love it. I'm like, oh, great. It's 3:30. They put the kids in front of the TV. And yeah. What else? Oh, yeah. So there's no other questions, but I just have a question for you, actually.
Yes.
I didn't tell you I was going to ask is, have you found writing this book, have you found it a healing process for you?
Yeah, I must admit I have. I did, it kind of feels like, and I sort of touched on it earlier on, but I kind of feel like all the pain has served a purpose. You know, and so I'm just like, and to write it all down and to have it in a book that someone else can read and someone else can benefit from and hopefully find light, and or at least know they're not alone, or to, in whatever capacity that helps in, it makes me think, wow, it gives me goosebumps. I've got goosebumps all in my body. It makes me go, wow, this is all for a reason, and that's why I've struggled the way that I have, because I've been put on this earth to give back. and that's what and even if it's like, that's just what I tell myself, you know, like if you're not a spiritual person, you don't believe that, but I do genuinely do believe that. But yeah, maybe it's just a thing that I tell myself so I can justify why I've felt so much sadness and pain. But yeah, it's been really therapeutic. And yeah, and it's hard because like even reading it back when you're in a happy headspace and you're in a healthy headspace, all these things. And I remember when I wrote it, like I wasn't in some of the, I had a very tumultuous 2021. I'm not sure you might have read about it. But yeah, I had a real battle with my mental health in 2021, and I had already written the book by then. So I, you know, and then all this stuff was happening. I was going, oh, it doesn't get any better. Like, you know, you're just like, where's the light that I keep banging on about? And then, you know, and I think that reading it again, I was editing it and then I added things and whatever. But yeah, it definitely helped me through last year, just going, oh no, this is for a purpose, this is for a purpose. And maybe one day I'll write another book.
Sounds like you have to.
Hey?
Sounds like you have to.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, and then, but everything like, and now I'm in a healthy headspace. And so reading it back, you just go, oh wow, like that's really how I felt. And like the toxic relationships chapter that I talk about, like revisiting that and remembering that and just going, I was so fragile and weak and broken, and I can't believe I was able to build myself back up. So I thought, you know, that that's pretty amazing. And just going, oh yeah, I got through that. Good on me. Yeah. And it does get better. And it's just a nice reminder.
It does. And that's the thing too, also to remember is when looking after your mental health, like it is like a roller coaster. You know, you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows, and that's a part of life, I believe. But it's just knowing those tools when you do come down, you know, to those lower, darker times, that you've got the tools to help you through. What I'm really conscious of right now is I too am in quite a healthy headspace. And so therefore, I can be a bit like, maybe I'll miss a couple of days of meditation, or I'll miss my journal. And so I'm very mindful of that when I'm in a healthy headspace, that I've got to continue those healthy behaviors that help me, because I don't want to just have to get to those when I'm in the dark space. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I remember saying to my psychologist, I was just like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good. So see you next breakdown. And she was like, when you're in a healthy headspace, it's really important to see a psychologist, because you can see yourself objectively and you can look back on patterns and behaviors and situations without the emotional, I guess, pull or the emotional strain, I guess. Like particularly if you're talking about relationships, for example, because I've struggled a lot with difficult relationships. Like when you're in it, you're just listening for the answers that you want to hear. And then when you get out of it and you're talking about it objectively with your psychologist, and I feel like that's a really healthy place to grow. And yeah, and also like, yeah, and you can put all these good things into practice and be like, oh well, that's what I learned from that situation. And she used to always say to, my psychologist used to always say to me, like, anytime like you feel like you're going backwards, you're just not going back as far. You feel like you're going backwards, but then when you're looking at it, you go, oh, actually, I didn't tumble all the way back there. I've just gone boom, 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 and then gone boom. You know, and then I keep going forward, and then over years, and you go, wow, like how I handle situations now and how I react is completely different. And that's because I've done the work.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome to see. Can I just say, you are, like, listening to you speak, you are such a beautiful person. Like, no, seriously, Sam, you are such a beautiful person. And even for me as your sister reading like this book, I've always been there along the journey with you and been by your side and helped you through. But, you know, there's some chapters there where I never actually quite knew how dark the place was or how toxic this particular relationship was. I never knew how much you were struggling. Like I knew that you were struggling, but I didn't know how deep. And so, yeah, like for me as your sister, I'm like, gee, like you're an absolute inspiration. And I truly do mean that. You're a beautiful person, girl. And I really hope that you're so proud of this because, yeah, you are amazing.
Oh, it's so nice to make you cry.
It's true. I know
That's really beautiful.
Watching this, they also agree. But I didn't mean to make you cry, but just listening to you.
No, it's beautiful. That's a really beautiful thing to say. Thank you, girl. I appreciate it.
Oh, and Booktopia second that. They also agree. I said.
That's so nice. Thank you.
I know that so many people think that, and I think that's why you're so relatable. And yeah, that's what I was trying to say before too when I was stumbling on my words. Okay. There's a couple of comments here. So Jackie also agrees that screaming into your pillow is a great emotional energy release. So thank you, Jackie.
Thanks, Jackie.
There's a question here. What inspired you to write this book? Would you guys write another book in the future? Will it be non-fiction? It's so funny. I always get fiction and non-fiction confused. I always have to go fiction, non-fiction. But you can answer that, girl. And then we've just got a couple of little questions, a get to know you questions.
Yeah, great. So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so we are we going to write a second book? Maybe. I feel like there's always so much growth to do, and even, you know, you think about, you know, the answers and then something else pops up and you're like, oh, that's actually really interesting. I love the concept, and this is something that I've thought about writing about in a second book, is living in ego versus living in truth. And I actually had a chapter of that in the book, but it was a late edition, and I don't feel like I was very articulate. I don't think I articulated my point properly, and it was such a big topic that I'm like, nah, we'll just pull it out because it wasn't as good as what I thought it could be. But I just love the concept of living your life coming from a place of truth, and in this world it's becoming very it's censored, it's becoming very filtered, it's becoming very ego driven, and I feel like, you know, the living life quite shallow is becoming normal, and I think it's the rise of social media. And I shouldn't say living life shallow. I shouldn't say that. I didn't mean it like that. But like, you know, people were making decisions, huge life decisions, based on ego and things that don't really matter. So anyway, I kind of like exploring that idea. So that's what I'll probably do for a second book. Explore that concept a bit more.
Yeah, cool. I think that's a great idea. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping this up pretty soon, but Sam and I
oh yeah, God, we're fine.
Yeah, the time. So Sam and I we're gonna do like questions for each other, like get to know you, bit of fun. We've done something like this in the past, but so we've got a couple of questions, just a little bit of fun, you know. For instance, I'll ask Sam this. Okay.
It's like getting to know you quiz.
Yeah, did I say that? I didn't say it, did I?
No. Nah, that's all right.
Sorry. It's a getting to know you quiz. All right, so Sambo, what is your favourite childhood memory?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, favourite childhood memory. I don't know what it is. Oh, look, it's got to be like just being with the siblings, mucking around, like just, we're one of six. We've got 4 brothers, and so we've got 2 older brothers, then it's Chris, then it's myself, and we've got 2 little brothers. And my favourite memories are just mucking around the house, picking on someone, like running around like hooligans and laughing. Like that's my favourite. It doesn't get any better than that to me.
Yeah.
What about you?
I was thinking about this. I've got a couple, but mine would probably be, Christmas time, getting.
Oh, I love Christmas.
Yeah, and then we'll go to Uncle Greg's and Rosie and Penny. They're our cousins. They used to
Play some
come.
backyard cricket.
Backyard cricket. That's probably my favorite. I used to love that. It was such a long drive, but when we got there, it was really fun, and we all hung out. And like Sam said, we're a huge family, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a good one. What's the next question?
Okay, the next question is, what is something not many people would know about you? Like a little quirk or something, like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've written it in the book, so I think a lot of people are going to figure it out. But one thing that I always do every single morning, like no matter what, is no matter how early I have to get up, I sit in silence for an hour and drink my coffee. I don't like anyone talking to me. I don't want, like, even my nieces, which are Chris's girls, they know. They're like, so I remember she would look into my coffee cup and be like, and there'll still be a bit of coffee, and I'm like, still coffee, and she's like, she'll know she can't talk to me just yet.
Awesome.
But that's really good. It's changing now a bit. They just sneak on in next to me in the bed. They're like, Netflix kids, and I'm like, oh, I don't know, Mum might get in trouble for this.
Scream in the morning. That is a no.
No, I know. Unless Auntie Sam's there, it's fun time. But anyway, what's one thing people don't know about you, girl?
Oh, yeah, I've got a really quirky thing. It's a couple of my friends know, but I always carry a drink bottle with me, no matter where I go. Like, no, I've always got to have water. And if I'm flying on a plane, I get a bit of anxiety on the plane. I think I've got like 3 water bottles.
Just in case.
Just in case, because what happens is with my anxiety, I get a dry throat, and so I'm always just clearing my throat with my water. So I'll always have a drink bottle, and it's great because, like, I go to run club, that it's socially acceptable to have a drink bottle. But yeah. Anyway,
that's right.
That's my little quirk. The next one is, who is your favorite sibling?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I hate when people say that. You can't have favorites. I like everyone for different reasons.
Yeah, I'm the same.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know what you're going to say.
I know what you're going to say too.
On the count of 3, we say our favorite sibling.
Ready? Okay, go. 1, 2, 3. Josh!
Josh is the best. He's so cool.
Brother. Yeah, and he is such a beautiful soul, like wise. I've never met such a young guy, so wise and mature and sensible.
And he's so gorgeous and cute. I just want to smush his little face. He's so smushable.
Like, I was hoping you would say me, but I know that Josh does have a special spot in our hearts.
Everyone's got to say Josh. It's a good answer because everyone goes, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, fair. Yeah. And then one last question that I had written down is, what is your favorite quote?
Oh, what's my favorite quote? Embrace the silence. It's where your power lies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it goes back to like sitting in stillness, trusting you into going back to your core, and also meaning you can use it in that way, which is what I do sometimes. And also sometimes you don't have to, if you feel like, particularly, there's a lot of stuff for me in the media, people making commentary, blah blah blah, and I don't say anything. I just sit in silence, and that's how I just think that's where your power lies, in the silence.
Yeah, you're spot on, actually.
Yeah,
it absolutely is. Yeah, and that's where you get all your answers too.
Exactly. And instead of being reactive, you go inwards, and that's what I think helps.
Yeah, that's an awesome quote. I hadn't heard that one. Mine is my favorite quote, and it always has been for this for quite some time, is it's believe you are exactly where you're meant to be.
Yeah, that's a good one. Trusting the process.
Just trusting. And whenever, you do go through hardship or whatever it is, wherever you may be on your journey, that it's happening for a reason. And trust that and just believe that you are exactly where you're meant to be. That's my
absolutely.
I think that we are going to be wrapping this up, my girl. I'll take off my glasses.
Yeah, it's so fun. I can. The boys are cooking dinner. I can smell it.
Nice.
And I'm all excited now. So,
so I guess before we wrap up, I guess a point is if you are struggling and if you are going through crisis, to know that you are never alone, and Lifeline Australia is available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Their number is 13 11 14, so you can call them anytime. But yeah, also to know that you're not alone, and there's so many people out there who love you, who appreciate you, and who are out there to help and support you.
Absolutely. And even though everything might feel so heavy, you are going to get through it and you will find light and it's going to be okay. I promise you. And the power in reaching out as well. You're never a burden. You're never a burden. And even though things might feel like it, you don't want to put your troubles onto somebody else. Trust me, people would much rather share the experience with you, be there for you. And people like supporting people. It makes them feel good. So don't ever be ashamed to reach out.
I remember once you said to me, you felt like you were a burden. Remember?
I did.
You are a burden. You must contact me anytime you want. Because it's so because you may, you think, oh, they've got their life, they're happy. And like Sam said, people love helping people. And so, yeah, and the hardest thing is putting your hand up and saying, actually, I'm not okay. I've been there. Being a young, a mum, and I thought I had it all together, and I was struggling with my number 2. She was 3 months old, and I broke down and I had to say, actually, I need help. And it was hard because I wanted to appear like I had it together, but actually I was crumbling inside. So it's so powerful. And the moment you put your hand up and just say, I need help, there's so much support out there, and there is light and you can get through it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's us.
Thank you. Thank you so much to everyone who joined us and, checked in, asked questions and things like that. We hope you love the book. We hope you get something out of it. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do. We really do appreciate it. And reach out anytime. Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. And you can get the book from Booktopia.
Oh, yeah, Booktopia. That's right.